Tonight, growing controversy surrounding comedian Dave Chappelle's Saturday Night Live opening monologue.
I denounce anti-Semitism in all its forms. And I stand with my friends in the Jewish community. And that, Kanye, is how you buy yourself some time.
The Anti-Defamation League tweeting, disturbing to see at NBC SNL not just normalize, but popularize anti-Semitism. Why are Jewish sensitivities denied or diminished at almost every turn? Why does our trauma trigger applause?
More fallout today for embattled Joe Rogan following his apology for repeatedly using the N-word years ago.
My sincere and humble apologies. I wish there was more that I could say.
So this video is about free speech and cancel culture. Now, in the United States and in every industrialized nation in the world, we all claim to have some form of free speech. But I'm going to tell you, it's a lot more complicated than just calling it free speech. What we do have is a combination of free speech and what I'm calling privileged speech. So let's start with something more familiar, free speech. Free speech is defined as the ability of individuals or communities to be able to articulate their ideas or expressions without fear of retaliation, censorship, or legal sanction. Now, to be technical, free speech really describes how the government is able to regulate speech. Now, in America, the default position is that the government can't regulate speech, but there are exceptions to that. For example, threats of violence are speech that you can be arrested for.
We have breaking news just into the Fox 13 newsroom. A man accused of making threats against at least one member of the Saratoga Springs Police Department is now in police custody.
Defamation, for instance, is also speech that you can be forced to pay millions of dollars if you violate. Look at both Alex Jones and Amber Heard.
As to this statement, appearing in the op-ed entitled "A Transformative Moment for Women" in the Washington Post print edition, in the online op-ed, Amber Heard, "I spoke up against sexual violence and faced our culture's wrath. That has to change." In the Washington Post online edition, quote, "I had the rare vantage point of seeing in real time how institutions protect men accused of abuse," end quote. Do you find that Mr. Depp has proven all the elements of defamation? Answer, yes.
To plaintiff Robbie Parker, A, defamation/slander damages past and future, $60 million. B, emotional distress damages past and future, $60 million. Total fair, just, and reasonable damages to plaintiff Robert Parker and against Alex Jones and Free Speech Systems at line A and line B, total $120 million.
When it comes to defamation, former Supreme Court Justice William Rehnquist stated that speech is free, but lies you pay for. And the most important thing to understand about free speech in America is it's the government who forces you to comply with these free speech principles. The Supreme Court has developed some tests to determine if speech can be restricted and regulated. One of the more famous ones is the time, place, and manner restrictions that can limit your free speech in certain situations. Now, free speech is also limited to government action. See, I don't have free speech rights in your private home, but I do have free speech rights in a public park. Now, this distinction between private and public is what social media companies rely on. As an example, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube are all not required to respect your free speech rights on their platforms. They are private companies. Now, some argue that social media companies are so vital to our way of life that they should be treated like public utilities. For instance, the water company, the electric company, or even the people who provide you natural gas.
Why we should not depend on the whims of any billionaire, Elon Musk, or anyone else for critical infrastructure for our democracy, which Twitter effectively is at this point. So Ryan Grum was floating we should, a public corporation should buy this. This should be put in public trust. It should basically be nationalized and subject to democratic accountability. Much, much better situation than hoping Elon figures it out and gets his shit together and doesn't totally destroy something that a lot of people have come to depend on.
Yeah, I mean, you know my thing. I'm fine with it being a private company, but I want it regulated like a public utility.
So, do you agree that social media companies should be treated like public utilities? Are they as vital to our way of life as the electric company or receiving water to your home? Now, there's something else we also have to think about. Compelling someone to speak is also a violation of free speech principles. So, you can't force someone to say something, and you can't stop someone from saying something. Now, let's contrast free speech to privileged speech. Privileged speech, defined, is where specific individuals or communities can share opinions or ideas without fear of retaliation, censorship, or legal sanction. But other individuals or communities would receive retaliation, censorship, or legal sanction for those same opinions or ideas. Now, unlike free speech, which is enforced by the government, privileged speech is enforced by private parties. This is your cancellation or public shaming. For example, if you're black, you can use the N-word, and if you're white, you can't. If you're Jewish, you can make anti-Semitic jokes, and if you're black, you cannot. If you're white, you can't use any racial slurs, but if you're not white, you can use racial slurs against white people. Let me give you a real world example. One common anti-Semitic trope is that Jews control the media and Hollywood. Now, this trope is all based on people of Jewish descent being overrepresented in Hollywood and the media. Here's a video from the prominent Jewish Learning Institute titled "The Real Reason Jews Dominate Hollywood."
Why are there so many Jews in Hollywood? Famous topic, and historically it goes back to that's all they could do. Theater was the fine arts, and Jews weren't allowed at the turn of the century, at the turn of the past century. So it was the wide open West, and so Jews flocked to it because it was open. And I think also Jews were very literate storytellers, so it was a good fit. And they took over. They created Hollywood, basically.
So we have a fact that people of the Jewish faith are overrepresented in Hollywood. Now, listen to these two comedians use that fact in jokes and tell me which one is anti-Semitic.
We got a lot of Jews on stage here tonight. People say that Jews control the media, and we do. And you know why? Because we're really good at it. I've never heard anyone say, why are all those black dudes in the NBA? Because they're better at dunking, just like Jews are better at whatever joke my Jew writers come up with.
I don't want y'all to get mad at me. I'm just telling you, I've been in Hollywood. This was just what I saw. It's a lot of Jews. Like a lot. But that doesn't mean anything. You know what I mean? There's a lot of black people in Ferguson, Missouri. Doesn't mean we run the place. I could see if you had some kind of issue. You know what I mean? You might go out to Hollywood and your mind might start connecting some kind of lines, and you could maybe adopt the delusion that the Jews run show business. It's not a crazy thing to think, but it's a crazy thing to say out loud in a climate like this.
Now, if you listen to both these jokes, they are essentially saying the same thing, alluding that Jews run either Hollywood or the media.
People say that Jews control the media, and we do.
I've been in Hollywood. This was just what I saw. It's a lot of Jews.
They then used black people as a counterexample, and the crowd laughed.
I've never heard anyone say, why are all those black dudes in the NBA?
But that doesn't mean anything. You know what I mean? There's a lot of black people in Ferguson, Missouri. Doesn't mean we run the place.
Now, the Anti-Defamation League condemned the black comic for promoting anti-Semitism, but the other comic, who happened to be Jewish, was celebrated for telling a great joke. This is privileged speech in action. It's not about what is actually being said, but the identity of who is saying it. Take the N-word, for instance. Last week on Saturday Night Live, Dave Chappelle straight up used the N-word on national television multiple times, and no one complained. Here it is.
Drink Champs again. This time, he was on one. He was mad about something. He said, I can say anti-Semitic things, and Adidas can't drop me. Now what? Adidas dropped that nigga immediately. This guy lost $1.5 billion in a day. $1.5 billion in a day. I saw that. I said, put your chain on, nigga. Welcome back.
Now, if you're Asian, Latino, white, and you said the same joke in the exact same way, your career would be over. See, only black people can use the N-word, and only Jewish people can make anti-Semitic jokes, and on it goes. Now, remember the recent controversy involving NBA star Kyrie Irving and celebrity Kanye West? Now, both were accused of anti-Semitism, and their response was that they can't be anti-Semitic because they themselves are Jewish. Now, here is both Kanye and Kyrie claiming they both have the privilege of saying anti-Semitic things because of who they are, not what they said.
I talked to Q because Q been labeled an anti-Semite. First of all, we are Semite. We Jew, so I can't be anti-Semite.
Right.
First of all.
Kyrie, for the record, do you have any anti-Semitic beliefs?
Again, I'm gonna repeat. I don't know how the label becomes justified because you guys ask me the same questions over and over again. But this is not going to turn into a spin around cycle of questions upon questions. I told you guys how I felt. I respect all walks of life and embrace all walks of life. That's where I sit.
I think what people want to hear, though, is just a yes or no on that question. Yes or no.
I cannot be anti-Semitic if I know where I come from. I cannot be anti-Semitic if I know where I come from.
Now, the public at large disagreed with them. Neither of these men were considered Jewish, and therefore they are not privileged to have these opinions. They can say the N-word, but they are not allowed to say the Jews run Hollywood. But what do you think? Do you agree with privileged speech? Should people be allowed to say things just based on what they look like and who they are? Here's a quick recap. We have free speech, in which the government enforces, and privileged speech in which public parties enforce. Privileged speech is not about the contents of the speech, but the identity of the speaker. Black speakers are privileged to use things like the N-word, while white speakers and others are not. Now, let me know what you think about my privileged speech hypothesis, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.